Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and colleagues, I'm deeply touched by the introductory remarks, and even more so by simply being here in Ghana. For those of my generation, Ghana meant a lot. It was a pioneer. It was the Black Star. And as we walked in this room, I remarked to Kwame, there was a sign there called Botsio Room, and I said, "Is this in honor of Kojo Botsio?" He said, "Yes." And because in my generation, I knew every member of the Ghanaian cabinet at the time. It was important for us to know that. And I have run into people who have been surprised when I say, somebody told me his name was Eduseya, so are you Krobo? Eduseya. Of the famous bed, golden bed. But anyways, so I happen to have been very deeply influenced by Ghana. Apropos being African, I was once in Nigeria. When I got to the airport, I was traveling with a refugee passport from Sweden. I was a refugee in Sweden for many years. And the Nigerian official asked me, "Where are you from?" I said, "From Sweden." He said, "Hey, my man, where are you from?" So I said, I'm from Malawi. He said, "Ah, now you're talking, you can come in." So one cannot escape one's African home. It's so deeply, we're deeply marked by that. I'm also deeply honored of being invited to speak in Ghana. I am very conscious of the intellectual progress of this continent, of this country, and Ghana, when I was in Rhodesia, was one of the countries that was core to the activities of my institute. So I have a very deep respect for this country's intellectual capacity, and therefore being asked to come here at all it's really an honor. I will be talking about a subject which hopefully is close to all of us, on development. We have to remember where we have been, what promises we've made to ourselves, and what promises others have made. We all know that in the last 20 years or so, many countries in Africa have gone through what is called the lost decades, and even those that have recovered have yet to reach the per capita incomes they had only 20 years ago. So in a sense, I am concerned with a process of how do we redress the imbalances that have been created through these lost decades and through the many attempts to address the crisis that African economies faced. We also have to remember that those of you from Ghana, of course, Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah promised Siki political freedom, and the rest will follow. In many cases, the rest didn't follow. But this does not mean that the principle of political freedom itself is questionable. I therefore speak on the assumption that we share the view that the independence of African countries is uncompromisable, and that however we relate to the rest of the world, we will not accept, or we must not accept, to relate to the rest of the world in a supine position. When the crisis struck in the 70s, perhaps we have to remember that African countries have not always been in crisis. The literature sometimes suggests that African countries, ever since independence, have had declines. Many countries in Africa were doing quite well until the 70s, and then there was a crisis from which many countries have had trouble getting out. As we had the crisis, we were forced to go out to ask for ideas and for money.